Welcome to another episode of Invigorate Your Business with George Stroumboulis. Today, I sit down with Thanasi Papoulias. You may know him from his ultra-popular, very viral, Excuse Me, Are You Greek platform. Thanasi has built up several different businesses over the course of his career, has had successful exits, and we're going to sit down with Thanasi. The last time we chatted together on my podcast was 3 years ago. So a lot has changed around the world, from global pandemics, wars, geopolitical stuff, social media platforms shifting, pop cultural events happening. So we're going to dive into all that stuff. We're going to get some tips and advice from Thanasi as he does that for several of his business clients. And finally, we're going to have a bunch of laughs with Thanasi, who has evolved from someone who would create funny memes into someone that connects us culturally as it relates to our heritage. So I'm excited for this one and enjoy this conversation starting now. My name is George Stroumboulis, and I'm extremely passionate about traveling the world, meeting new people, and learning about new businesses. Join me as I sit down with other entrepreneurs to learn about their journeys. This episode of Invigorate Your Business starts now. We're good. We're gonna jump into here. It's been a while.
Has been.
It's been a while, but I'm sitting with Thanasi Papoulias, a man of many titles, right? Skills from, we'll get into all that. But last time you sat with me on the show was 3 years ago, which kind of blew my mind today.
Absolutely.
Right?
I couldn't believe it's been 3 years already. Yeah. I mean, you almost said 2, you messed up a couple times. I'm like, that 2 years ago, no way. And it was actually 3.
Absolutely. So 3 years ago, you were episode 3. So right now we're in our 50s, right? Yeah, you were, guinea pig, but it was cool listening to your story then. A lot's changed since then, right? And I think it'd be fun to talk about what's changed since then. So in May of 2022, what was going on off the top of your head? Like where were we in the world?
So May of 2022, we're like kind of recovering from the COVID lockdowns, right? Like we're kind of coming out of that. The world has completely changed.
Absolutely.
2022, I think, some areas were still somewhat locked down maybe at that point. Yep. I can't remember. Everybody kind of came online at different times. But the restaurant business has never shut down. So I was like constantly working. So it was just a matter of, I guess how things were done maybe were a little different, just constantly changing. So yeah, my company was 2 years old at that point.
You launched in like
a year and a half or something, because I launched at the end of 2020, like in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah. Worst time to launch, but also the best time.
See, that's the thing though. I don't see it as the worst time, because for what I was doing, helping restaurants, it was prime, right? Because now all of a sudden revenue streams were coming from not just people sitting in your restaurant, but it could come from a delivery service, come from a website. It could come from all these different channels, social media. So, bridging that gap between old school restaurant owners and society helped me, I think, really take off.
Absolutely. It was probably like the best time to be launching, right?
Right. So, terrible time, but a great time to actually launch. It was scary because it was something new. That's a whole different story, but
absolutely
a good time looking back to actually launch.
Let's do a little list of where we were in 22 and where we are right now. So COVID was still going strong.
Yeah.
Canada, China, still in lockdowns, right? Yeah. And we were here in Newport Beach, Costa Mesa, maskless, just kind of doing our thing. We're done that. Wars. Russia just invaded Ukraine that month.
Was it that long ago?
It's that long ago. So they just invaded like a month before we sat down together. Pop culture. I know you're a pop culture aficionado. That's right when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, and that went viral around the world, right? This is the big one, right? Think about where we are today. ChatGPT was still not a thing to the mainstream. Didn't exist.
Well, it existed, but we just didn't know about it.
We didn't know about it, right? Yeah. So just think about that. 3 years ago, Meta was like the big thing. NFTs, that whole universe, that was like hot back then. Yeah. Now I feel like no one's talking about that.
Right? And that kind of came and went.
Yeah, absolutely. Twitter, Elon Musk just announced that he wanted to buy Twitter. So it wasn't
a done deal. It was just kind of like that initial period.
Exactly. And then the other thing is like in 22, influencer marketing was a big thing, and the organic reach was shrinking. And I know you're an expert in that field.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump into that quickly. Also, I'm very excited. This is the first guest in this new studio. So thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love to be a guinea pig. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We did this all just for you to be on the show, right? Tomorrow it goes back to a regular office. But this is great. So talk to me And for the listener, I want to do just a little recap so people reintroduce who you are, your expertise. But you have a background, business, MBA, right? Like just strong in the business world, the business acumen, like you're a very smart guy. You've started, an online business. You had a successful exit. You've invested in real estate. All along, you've always been tech savvy. Internet, right? Like you've always had that. You've launched different online platforms. You're a media personality yourself. Like I hate saying influencer.
Yeah, I hate it too. Content creator, media personality.
Yeah, but you've become someone, and then we'll talk about excuse me, are you Greek? But one thing I want to say is like over the years, you've gone from at the time I'm like, he's creating funny memes and he's doing his thing while he's building his business, right? This is kind of a mental escape.
Yeah.
So like fast forward now, you've become a connector of culture and heritage, which I didn't see that years ago, right? I didn't think that would be the case. I thought it'd be like, just a laugh, share it, move on.
Sure.
Where now people go to your page to kind of see, hey, what's going on with our culture back home?
Put their finger on the pulse of like what's going on and what's kind of at the forefront.
Did you think that like when you launched it, was that the intent?
No, I mean, we had this conversation about just starting something, right? Like, stop trying to think about it. When I first started it, it was more of a fun thing. Escape, I have my day-to-day job, just something fun. Because the content I would find online, I just didn't find funny. I'm like, maybe my grandparents might laugh at some of this stuff, but it didn't really connect with younger people. I'm like, I could do better. And came up with a meme or two. I would post a meme every 2 weeks. And it kind of took off from there. And, people are like, well, how do you come up with this stuff? Why are you so funny and this and that? And I always have to correct them. I'm like, what? I'm not funny. I could just observe. I'm a good observer. Everybody else is funny. I just know what everybody's going to laugh at. Like, that's the way I put it.
But do people in social settings, because you're not behind a computer, you're at every social event.
Sure.
Right? Do people expect you to be the funny guy?
You know what? Sometimes maybe they do. But I kind of try to remove myself from that. I'm not the same person you see online as I am in person because I think online, it's a funny page, right? People laugh. Oh, you're so funny, this and that. And I think right away when they get to meet me, they're expecting like a huge comedy explosion, but it's really not that. It's a down-to-earth conversation, couple drinks, and how's life?
Right. Yeah. You're analyzing too, right? Like every situation, you're always thinking. Yeah.
Always. I have my digital notes on my phone just ready to go whenever I need something.
Right.
And I hate to admit it, but Holy Week is like my Super Bowl. Like I'm just note after note of what's going on, before, after church, during church. Yeah. I did pull my phone out once or twice during church, and my wife gave me a look like,
I'm working. Wait, well, let's jump into that though. Yeah. Speaking of church, you had, can we talk about the priests?
Yeah.
Can we?
To some level, yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to name names.
No, yeah.
Right, but so some of your recent content was just hilarious. Okay. And it was just poking fun more at you.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
More than but you featured some priests from the area, in the greater LA area, just doing just funny stuff at Starbucks. Explain some of the skits.
Well, it came from a skit I thought last minute. It came to me last minute 2 years ago now. So it was during Holy Week. I was meeting with my priest. He's our age, so he's a little more relatable, and we chat here and there. We were going to go grab lunch, and we discussed making a video. Hey, that'd be funny. Let's make a video. Sure. Well, it turned into, hey, I have this priest and this deacon on the phone, and they're down the street from you, and they said they'd love to join. Can we do this? So yeah, sure, let's do it. So this is me last minute now, driving to lunch to meet 3 priests and trying to come up with a script in my head. There was no plan.
Right.
So that was the one where they caught me eating meat during Holy Week. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah,
so
yes.
That video launched an annual tradition of us just making videos during Holy Week where I'm doing something I'm not supposed to be doing and getting busted for it. So
yeah, hilarious.
Yeah.
And then the aftermath of that?
So the aftermath is the video series people most look forward to, and of every age group, old, young, my age. I guess I'm in between old and young, even though I think I'm a little more old now.
But act younger sometimes, right? Yeah.
The maturity level and physical age are two different things.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Aftermath, it seems like we might be at our last video for a while just because, it's a touchy subject, right? It's kind of... Society has roles people are supposed to play, and they view people in a certain light, and if they break character, it might not be so good. And let me take that back. Not that it's not so good. people interpret it as not being so good. So there was a little heat for involving some priests in videos, but honestly, I thought it was G-rated and I didn't think it was anything big.
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
I think today we're always putting forward this fake, this is me, this is my image, I'm this, like online. And this was just kind of, man, I wish my priest would do that. That's hilarious. Like it relates more to the youth. And
my pitch at the very beginning of this was, hey, this is a great way to connect to the youth. I mean, the church has identified that there is a lack of engagement from younger generations, and the new memberships are like shrinking and shrinking in the Greek Orthodox Church. And that's just not in the United States, but that's in Greece as well.
And I feel like any church around the world,
100%, 100. So it's not only a Greek Orthodox problem for sure. But this was a way to reach young people as, you know, where they're at. They're online, they're on social media, they're at events, you know, so it was a good way to show like, hey, priests are people too. You know, they're funny. They could be funny. They're like us. They just put on their uniform and they go to work just like a restaurant worker does and all that. So
it's a job.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in Greece, just talking about priests, last stat I heard was there's 10,000 priests in Greece, just Greece alone. And it's paid by the government. It's a government job.
Sure.
So it's a job. Not taken away from the spiritual connection of what you feel, but I mean, just lighten up. The other thing is like people come to your page and whatever you post, I feel like they treat you as you're speaking on behalf of an entire culture and anything you put, they're going to attack you. And it's like, do you play into those trolls?
I love the trolls.
Okay.
I love trolls.
How do you handle them?
Most of the time I ignore them. Sometimes I play into their stuff. Like I ask them just a funny question in return. You know, you can tell who's trolling just to be a troll. You can tell who's trolling because they're angry. And it's engagement, right? You know, comments, likes, shares, that all, you know, boost the platform. So I start engaging them and, you know, say a few things that might, I don't want to say tick them off because I'm not trying to piss them off. I'm laughing at this. Like, you know, they're the ones coming to my page to like rip me apart. Well, like, great, I did my job. You came, you engaged, you saw my content, success. Now you're giving me even more engagement. Like, I love it. You know, most of my videos that go viral, I would say have the least acceptance rating of all. And by that, I mean like, you know, only 50 or 60% of the people are going to like it, but that's only because 30 or 40% of the people hate it.
Gotcha.
Or have something to say about it. Or that's not the right way. Like my village does it this way. That's not correct. That's not what those are called. You know, trolls from other countries too. Like, no, that's our food. You know, that's a big one.
Love that one.
That's my favorite. And I step into that whenever I can. Because personally, I don't care where the food is from. I don't care who invented it. I know who's popularized it. It's popular in Greece. I love it. It's Greek food. That's the way I'm going to promote it. If it was invented in Turkey or Syria or wherever, cool. It's Greek food right now.
Exactly.
When I'm talking about it, it's Greek food.
It's on my page. I'm talking,
And, you know, the Turkish ones are the funniest because, I mean, they've obviously, you know, taken over a lot of land and given and taken over the years. So a lot of cultural mix during those times, right? So it's like, who's to say somebody invented it, somebody popularized it, somebody took some ideas from a country they took over. I mean, who knows? It's a hodgepodge.
Absolutely. That's why I won't do 23andMe or Ancestry.com.
I'm scared of that too.
It means 400 years, something.
That should be like a competition, like to really come up with who's the Greekest. Whoever loses.
But it'll be sad when like the highest is really like a 47%. It's like, shoot, that's really what it is.
You know, we have one of those sitting on our desk. We got it on Black Friday maybe 2 years ago, and I've been hesitating to take it ever since.
Don't do it. You've done it. You just didn't like the results, and you're not sharing it.
Yeah, you know, there was a little more than I expected.
Yeah. Last time you were on the show, you were at just under 80,000 followers.
That was 3 years ago?
That was 3 years ago.
Wow.
Talk to us numbers, where you're at today, just like on all platforms, and then talk about like specific content and the reach that it has.
Yeah, that's a great question because social media changes all the time. Different platforms are popular at different times. So at Instagram is kind of my lead page. That's the one I base everything off of. So 80,000 followers back then. I'm at 220 actually. I just hit 220 a couple days ago.
Let's go, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
That's huge. That's huge.
It is.
For a niche culture, right?
Very
page.
Niche,
like that's huge.
Thank you.
And this has potential to just keep growing.
Yeah, well, and the way social media has transformed now, you know, followers were more important a year or two ago, 3 years ago. That's because your content would only reach your followers. But now the algorithms, because of what TikTok started 3 or 4 years ago with the For You page, TikTok came out with the idea, let me suggest some content to you. And that became, that blew up. So Instagram implemented something very similar. And now when you look at a viral video, it's only 30% of your followers that actually see that video, and it's 70% non-followers.
That's insane.
That's how the landscape is changing right now. So when we're doing influencer marketing for clients or anything like that, follower count's important because it's somewhat of a badge. Like, hey, there's enough people that are interested. But it's not like you have to go find that 1 million follower influencer to get your most bang for the buck. Some of my better influencers that we utilize for clients have 10, 20,000 followers, but they make such good content that it takes off, it explodes, it goes viral, and non-followers go check it out. So
someone that has a following of 10 or 20,000 and they produce certain content for your business, they could get hundreds of thousands of views, millions of views. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. But it's still, is there a science to it? Like all these years you've been doing it, is there a science?
It seems like every time we figure out what that science is, it changes again.
Right.
So it never stays the same. It's honestly, it's good content. Every platform has a trigger, right? Like when somebody watches a video for longer than, I think Instagram's like the 10-second mark. There's no science on this. There's no book on it, right? This is just what we observe. But we notice if somebody can stay engaged with a video for like 10 or 12 seconds, then that's the first level, right? So they'll feed it to like 10 or 20 more people.
Right.
And if it continues like that, they'll feed it to even more. And if you're accumulating likes and, comments and shares along the way, that just adds fuel to the fire. So it literally comes down to just having good content.
But does it? Yeah, absolutely. And doesn't it scare you? Like we're so dependent now on these platforms, whether it's your business, your personal brand, a meme page. We're so dependent on Instagram, right? And we saw what happened with TikTok recently where they just kind of lights out here in the States, came back. Like what happens if that ever happens to Instagram? And then just really quick on Instagram, I feel like they're already limiting now the content you put out there. It's 30% you said that actually sees it. At some point, I feel like it's going to go down next to nothing and they're going to want you to be boosting and paying for.
Well, let me scale that back a little bit. So it's not every piece of content is 30% of your followers. Most of the content is 95 to 100% of your followers. It's the ones that end up going viral. It's because somebody from outside your following picked up on it and it blew up that way.
Gotcha.
So your followers are still important, but not as important as you would think. Meaning, we don't validate accounts anymore based on followers. A year or two ago, yes, absolutely. Yeah, 50,000 followers minimum. We don't want an influencer less than that. Now we look at, well, it's not that we didn't look at engagement rate, but engagement rate to me is much more popular and powerful than follower count.
Right.
So,
see, I see that even personally, like with my business page, we'll get a lot of views, we'll get followers, but then, you'll get likes, but then comments aren't there on certain things.
Yeah.
So like, what's the psyche like from your experience? What do you think the psyche is? They're not interested, or it's not worth engaging, but they're still viewing and liking.
Yeah, well, we specialize in the food industry and F&B and events. So I'll talk from that perspective. But even the food stuff is getting a little repetitive, right? Like a lot of restaurants are still a year or two behind with their social media efforts. 5 years ago, a photo of a burger that was dripping with cheese would get 1 million views.
Right.
That was new and, groundbreaking. Then it went into, well, hey, video's becoming more popular. We got to do videos. Okay, cool. So they would show videos of food. All right, that's great. That started dying down. What's next? Oh, recipe videos. Let's show how food is being built and the behind the scenes. Great. It just constantly changes, right? So now we get into, you got to somewhat be willing to come in front of the camera and make things happen now. You got to tell your story from your perspective because there's so much noise out there.
Right.
Compared to 5 years ago. Now, everybody at the minimum is putting that juicy burger dripping photo on their page.
So even a local mom and pop, for example.
Even a local mom and pop, because now the mom knows how to use her camera phone
Right.
as opposed to 5 years ago, maybe was learning it, But they're seeing trends. People are talking about it. It's like any new invention, right? You have your early adopters, you have the people that jump on when it's starting to take off. When a new product plateaus, that's when most people jump on. The same goes with social media, And the hardest part for me is trying to convince my clients, like, we have to pivot.
Right.
But no, this has been working great. Yeah, it was working great. Like I've hit a plateau with a couple clients for like 6 months where we haven't netted, more than 100 followers in like 6 months.
Right.
And to me, that's a fail. So it's like, hey, I'm not doing my job. I got to convince you that we do need to pivot and change our content.
But what are the trends? Like, so take like a McDonald's, a Wendy's, a Burger King, right? We're talking about the food space. What are they doing with their social media when they have unlimited budgets versus a small local chain?
I think most of those big guys are wasting a lot of money.
Like how so?
Because a lot of those pages are creating these extravagant graphics and content that was popular 2 years ago. I don't want to name any names, but there's a couple of pages where, they're a popular restaurant chain and my mom and pop shops has like 10 times as many followers as them, and you're talking about a national chain across the entire United States that probably has a budget 20 times that of my mom and pops, but they just don't have the followers or engagement. Because it comes down to like, you got to provide people with what they want, whether they know it or not. Right? Like that was a Steve Jobs comment. He made that comment when people are like, hey, nobody wants that. It's like, well, no, let's tell them what they want. And you have to connect with them on that different level. And you see it, right? Things get stagnant. And I can tell, I can tell every single time, like, hey, we need a pivot. But again, a lot of these mom and pops people hire me and my company because they don't understand it. So with that comes not the understanding of it either, like, hey, what needs to be done? And just trying to explain new things, every year it seems like I'm trying to recreate the wheel with them. Like, remember 5 years ago when I told you, like, we got to do this photography and we got to stage it? Like, I'm doing that every year. Like, hey, this is what this year is. Well, why do we have to spend that much money? And I go, well, this is what it is now.
Well, when you started Strategic Instinct,
yes,
right? It was a one-person shop, right? You're like, hey, I have this idea. You quickly scaled that up, right? You have a team now of content creators, executors, project managers, right? Like, and you're building this and you're bringing on. Why? I know in your previous life too, you've been director of food and beverage, executive positions at, cinema companies. So I understand like that's your forte, but like, why do you focus on the restaurant industry? Are you trying to expand, or this is your?
So we kind of do stuff outside of the restaurant and event space. But the restaurant stuff comes easiest because I've been in it. And it's one of those things, like as an owner, as an entrepreneur, usually you have to do every single little job to understand that industry and that business. Mm-hmm. So I've been there and done that. Everything from like washing dishes, bussing, hosting, cooking a couple times. I've been in the restaurant business. I've worked for the restaurant business. I've worked in food and beverage. So I've seen it all and I understand what the owners are dealing with. I also, as a consumer, a restaurant, somebody who loves restaurants and going to food and going out, like I understand what that side of it wants. So I'm able to marry the two very easily. So the work that I would do for a restaurant is probably half the effort of going outside of that space. So that's really why, we focus on that space more so.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see, like you said before, you would see commercials of McDonald's, for example, and you'd see behind the scenes. I don't know if you've seen the footage where, with the syringe, they're putting the mustard perfectly on this and that, where now it's just so raw. Anyone with a decent camera phone, right, is capturing it and the way you're doing it, and you're just getting crazy views. It's kind of changed where it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. The production effort has been scaled down. You know? You don't need all that anymore.
Yep. What's some advice for brands right now, like that want to engage and go out there and think like, I feel like a lot of people think it's instant success. Like, I just hired this person. I should get 1 million followers, 1 million views. It should be overnight.
Yeah.
Just explain how you talk to your clients on day one. I'm meeting with, Mr. or Mrs. X, who has a chain of 5 restaurants, right? How do you educate them?
The best education is a timeline. Because they're not going to remember what you said a month ago or 2 months ago. Right. So I always tell them, this is what you should expect in the first 6 months. Okay. When you hire us on day one, that's when month 1 begins. Month 1, you're going to expect this. Month 2, we're going to start this. And this is what your expectations should be. And I really try to level their expectations until that 6-month mark. Because we need to build a story, we need to backfill their page with good content so that when you do bring people to the page that they want to stay. So it's a process. And, we always ask for a 6-month mark. Like that's the minimum. Sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 9, depending on the industry, the status. Sometimes the restaurant's not in the best shape to be able to market like I want. So I, try to give some positive advice, like, hey, maybe you want to fix that, or maybe touch up your website a little bit. Your online ordering system platform is dated. Maybe change that a little bit.
Even physically to the actual build? Okay.
Yeah, we try, because at the end of the day, in marketing, we're bringing people to the restaurant, whether it's digitally through their online, footprint or physically into the store. All that has to be in sync, right? Like if they have this beautiful footprint online and their burgers look delicious and, they're drippy and the cheese is, melting and all this, that's their expectation. And if they come to the restaurant and it's, a cold slice of cheese that was just thrown on the burger at the last minute, wrapped up and thrown out, to the customer to go eat, there's going to be a huge disconnect.
Sure.
And they're going to lose trust in that restaurant, So that's why we analyze every aspect of it. And then before we officially start, here's my list of, 20 things I think you should do before we start this other process.
Yeah, which is great. Just expectations in anything, right?
Sure.
California's got to be one of the hardest places to market restaurants. Like from my experience, you were born and raised here.
Yeah.
I moved here and I've lived in different parts of the country and the world. There's no place in the world that has more concentrated fast food options.
Well, every kind of food, right? Not just fast food,
Anything.
But even like fine dining, middle of the road, all that.
Everything. And I've lived in New York City and that's concentrated. It's 3 miles by 10 miles but I'm saying here you could go from the Bay Area all the way down to San Diego and there's so many options.
Yeah.
And I've always said this, even the crappiest burger spot here will still have, on a national scale, will still kick ass all day long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, culturally.
Sure.
So marketing that here has got to be a challenge, right? There's so many options.
Yeah, there is. I don't know that it's a challenge to market it. It's more to stay relevant, I think, right? Like, why is your burger better than somebody else's? So that's when, when you're showing your food, that's kind of like the surface level stuff, right? People love they have to like the food. They have to like how it looks first, but you have to backfill it with, well, why should they like this burger more than the place that's right next door to them? So you kind of tell that story. Okay, well, is this fresh ingredients? Is it ease of use? So that's why, if there's a restaurant that has a convenient drive-through, we'll consistently talk about the drive-through. Like, hey, our content will be geared around like, are you a fast-paced person in the corporate world? Need a quick bite? This juicy burger can be yours in less than 10 minutes. We don't say it like that, but we try to convey it through video and, and the communication online. Are you a single mom that needs to put dinner on the table? Hey, this person's family pack is easy and you can order it from the app. It can be ready to pick up, right when you get off of work, pick it up on your way home, and then it's there for dinner. So you got to find a story to tell for each client to differentiate why they're more important than their competitor.
Yeah.
And you really have to highlight it without saying, hey, we're better and we have an app. Come check out our app. Nobody wants to be lectured to.
No. And you're doing it through images and video too, right?
Right.
Yeah. You've gone from doing, the business background, doing memes to becoming like a media personality, right? Like, is that fair to say?
Sure.
Okay. So
it's still hard for me to accept that, like to think that, right? Like people tell me all the time, like, oh my God, you're so funny.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm meeting you. And I'm like, God, it's just me.
At my youngest daughter's baptism a few months ago, I had some nephews from Canada like, hey, that's the excuse me, are you Greek guy? And it's like, dude, it's out there. And it's not just here, like around the world, right? So how do you go now when people need your services and they need Thanasi's FaceTime? It's not just through your company because you have an infrastructure that can do this, but hey, Thanasi, we're launching this group of festivals and I need you to be there and we're doing this here and there. Like, how do you filter what makes sense for you, what doesn't?
First and foremost, and the most important by far, is do I like what it is I'm going to go promote? Because if I can't get behind it, I can't sit there and like lie through my teeth and say, this is the best thing, or everybody should be going here and doing this, because if my reputation is on the line, I'm definitely not going to do it, and if it's something I don't agree with, I don't do it. So first and foremost, I have to like or accept or be willing to promote something, right? Whether it's an event, a product, and then I have to be careful because I don't want my page to turn into a bulletin board. Yep. I would rather take 5 gigs, let's call them, at a slightly higher rate than take 20 gigs for a cheaper rate,
Because it gets to the exploiting type.
Yeah. And it's, like, I don't want to just put up a post. Like some people expect, hey, can we throw some money your way and just post this? No. Yeah. Absolutely not. That's the one thing I won't do. Yep. I will create something for you, but I'm not going to just take your picture and put it up on my page. Here's what I propose. So if it's something I find worthy or that I like, I'll counter them and say, hey, this is what I'm going to propose. Because look, in marketing, they always say it takes people 5, 6, 7, 8 times to react to something or to make a move. Right. So it's like I'm putting up a post. I tell them, you're wasting your money. You might as well roll down your window, drive down the freeway, and start screaming your company's name. You'll reach more people than just putting up a picture on my page. So I like to do things that, first of all, last over a longer period of time. I'll never put up a single post. It'll always be a campaign of a minimum of 3 or 4 posts over a 2, 3, 4 month period of me talking about something. And it's truly because I like it and I enjoyed it and I want to promote it and tell people about this product. So, or pay or place or,
But even charities, like you've gotten behind charities with certain times. I see that, right? And you have a voice now. Like think of like 250,000 sets of eyeballs, right? In 50, 60 different countries around the world that see this. Like that's significant, So what are some of the negatives like that this page has grown? Like are there any negatives associated? Or stuff that you wish?
For me, it's hard to say no to people. And sometimes I get trapped in doing things I don't want to do because the effort's there and they mean well and I try to help, but I find myself doing a lot of charitable or free work that I probably shouldn't be doing. I got to learn to say no more often. Look, I have a filtering process, right? There's people that reach out to me on Instagram. Hey, can you share this? I'm a big fan of your page. And then you click on their page and they don't even follow you. Like, what do you mean? How are you a fan? Right. Because your mom shared a video with you like 2 months ago. So that's the first thing I look at, right? Like, are they following me? Have they ever commented? And, as a creator, we can look and see how long they've been following us for too. So if it says, oh, you're following me as of yesterday or this month. Right. And, you're telling me you're my biggest fan, like, thank you. But bullshit. Yeah. So there's a layering thing there, right? I try to see, is it just somebody that's doing a money grab? Then I don't care. If you're just doing a money grab and you're not into this passionately, there's no need for me to promote you. Go buy some airtime, go run an ad, run Facebook ads. You'll reach more people. You know what I mean? If you want to make $1 plus $1 equal $5, that's where I can help. If I can get behind it and it's something I like. So I guess the negative aspect is filtering through a lot of requests, at least 2 or 3 a day, minimum 2 or 3 a day.
Yeah. And what would drive me nuts is on the social, like, community, church, this and that, like there's always an angle and it's like having access. That would drive me nuts. Like, hey man, I'm just at church. We're just talking. Yeah. Like what's the angle?
I haven't been bothered in person much, so I can't really complain about that. Once or twice it's happened, but for the most part, I can honestly only remember 2 times where I'm like, I just wish I was not at this place at this exact moment right now.
Right now, yeah.
And it's only twice in like 10 years. So.
That's pretty good then.
Yeah.
Okay, so in 10 years, what platform has this given you just from, meeting cool people that you've maybe not looked up to, but understood or respected their work? Like what access has this given you?
It's given me a lot of access to people that I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd ever connect with, whether it's professionally, personally. The professional aspect has been great, right?
Let's name drop. Let's hear.
Let's name drop. So we'll name drop, Yorgos Karagounis, the ultimate soccer player in Greece ever. Him and I have become friends over this. And it's just because I would make a video of him on his birthday or on some other events. We got to know each other. We met up in Athens one year and we became good friends. He came out here, picked him up from the airport, drove him around.
It's amazing.
So that's more on the personal level,
Just so people understand who are non-Greek, like just explain who Karagounis is.
So Yorgos Karagounis, Greece's most capped soccer player ever, best soccer. Well, look, who's the best is always, an opinion, and that gets people into fights. He has the most heart. He's played the most games for Greece. He's dubbed the captain of captains in Greece for a reason. 2004, Greece big underdogs in the Euro Cup tournament, beat Ronaldo's Portugal. Karagounis was on that team. He scored the very first goal of that tournament. He made a few tournaments with Greece, and the latest being, I think it was the 2014 World Cup, and took them pretty far. So,
and all these guys, like, just think of like how humble they are, how approachable they are. You see these guys doing different shows and podcasts. Like, I feel, again, from the outside looking in, they embrace the love that they still get.
Sure.
From kids weren't even born at that time when they won that. And kids still idolize them.
Well, I think it's also something about, so many Greeks abroad, that idolize these guys and have an appreciation of what they did. Think about that. You grow up in a country like Greece, you become a soccer player, you become a famous soccer player. And now there's millions of Greeks around the world that know you and saw you and appreciate you, that's got to be humbling on a whole other level too.
Absolutely. So we're going to get back to other ones, but while we're on the sports thing, let's talk Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Giannis.
Yeah, let's talk about your boy. Just talk about, he's obviously very proud to be Greek, very proud to be Nigerian. He's done incredible stuff, right? From the slums to Disney movie. The guy's incredible. The family is incredible.
NBA champion. I mean, he's taking
NBA
the
champion.
Bucks.
Almost fought Halliburton's dad a couple weeks ago when they got beat out. What are your thoughts just on him representing, Greece, Greek, and his brothers as well?
Sure. So my thing with Greeks has always been this: you're Greek if you feel Greek. Okay, whether you're born in Greece, whether you're a Philhellene, right? I mean, there's some people here, some of the best travel influencers that I engage with and talk to, and some that I even call friends now, are non-Greeks, because they go to our country, they go to Greece, and they see what it has to offer, and they see the things that other people are just taking advantage of, like these beautiful beaches, right? They're not there every day. They don't see this all the time. And they've become some of the best voices for travel in Greece. And they're on the side of, hey, the whole overloading of tourism, like when these cruise ships go into like small islands and unload 5,000 people at a time, that's
in a 10-hour window.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very devastating to small islands. So they understand that aspect of it. Whereas most Greek travel influencers are like, oh, this is my favorite island. And, they talk about different islands and different this and different that. And they don't talk about the impact of that all. So these non-Greek travel influencers are like amazing. And if you follow my page, you probably know who I'm talking about. There's 2 or 3 of them.
Can you name drop them? Like, if I'm
Melissa from Elaopa Travel. She's been amazing.
Where's Melissa from? Idaho?
Melissa is from the Midwest of the United States, and she's in the process of moving to Greece with her Greek husband. Okay. Yeah. And she does, and excuse me if I butcher your exact job, Melissa, but she is kind of like a travel planner. She helps people come up with itineraries. She doesn't actually book things for them, but she helps them come up with a trip. And she doesn't just ask, what's your favorite island? She gets down into the nitty gritty. What's your family size? What do you like to do? What does your wife like to do? How many kids do you have? Because all that stuff impacts you when you're in Greece. And you can't just go to, you're not going to take 5 kids to Mykonos for a week, you know? It's just not possible. No, even if you wanted to.
And you're going to, aside from the money, and plus there's so many other islands and places to go. Sure. I think that's the next wave in Greece of step away from all these 10, 15 most popular islands and start building those up. Yeah. And someone that can do that, because there's not enough content online to talk about those islands 100%. That are up. Yeah.
But circling back now, so to your original question about Yanni and all that, right? Yeah. So I'm giving you examples of these people that aren't Greek, weren't born in Greece. Some don't even have Greek relatives or Greek anything, right? Melissa happens to be married to a Greek, but some don't. But anybody that is pro-Greece and Philhellene, I consider a Greek. Right. And some of them are even more Greek than some Greeks I know, I always make fun of just the cigarro smoking, coffee drinking Greek. That's why they think they're Greek, know, because this is what Greeks do, or this is, our mental state, and this is, our culture. No, you got to remember where we came from and what we created for the world. There's a lot more to that, and we still have a lot to offer. But
you truly believe that, though? If someone identifies as Greek, not to get into the identify as that inside of you, it's not like, okay, dude, your DNA's not there. We're not the same. Not to get you in trouble, but you know what I mean?
It's a good question. I don't believe it to that extent. I'm not going to think they're Greek, but I don't see a Philhellene and a Greek person as being different, right? I'll call this person a Philhellene. They weren't born there, but if they go to Greece every year for 4 months because they absolutely love it,
sure,
and they entrench themselves in the culture. I'm not talking about people that just go island hopping and bar hopping and drinking. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about people that truly love it and want to be there and be a part of it. And they're promoting our culture and promoting our well-being. They're Greeks in my
It is a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
But sometimes I'll roll my eyes. Yeah, I'm an American citizen now. I wasn't 6 years ago. So the day I got him, I'm like, yeah, us Americans. Am I American overnight? Or in Canada, we have so many different cultures show up, they get their citizenship, and us Canadians, and it's well, who's really Canadian? Because my last name Stroumboulis is not Canadian.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's just that side. I guess I don't know what I'm trying to debate here. I'm just
No,
saying.
look, I think about this all the time, to be honest, right? Because it kind of crosses the line of politics and pop culture and all this stuff. And we got to remember, race is a human created thing, right? Like in history, there's just people that existed and branched off into different parts of the world and, became different for different traits in different areas, right? So the Greeks, okay, there's this landmass called Greece right now. 500 years ago, that landmass was completely different. Before that, it was completely different, right? The Ottomans occupied Greece for close to 400 years. There's people in Turkey that's former Greece that are Greek, but they live in Turkey. So are they Turkish? Are they Greek?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a tough line to walk. And that's why I always put it back to are you Phil Helene or not?
Right.
Are you a friend of Greece or are you not a friend of Greece?
Which is a great metric. That's a good starting point.
Because there's people in Turkey that have nothing to do with the government. Maybe they live in Constantinople right now and their heritage of the past is Greek, but have been mixed with the Turkish now, living there for however many years. I mean, are they worse off than somebody that lives 5 miles away? They're just on the Greek border.
Totally.
If that person's history is Greek and they just happen to be in another country, to me, they're Greek.
Yeah. So back to the Giannis. Yeah. They identify as Greek. They identify as Nigerian.
Well, Giannis was also born and raised in Greece, right? Like his parents moved to Nigeria. So all Giannis knows is Greece.
Yes.
That's all he knows.
Yeah. Even the mannerisms, you see it. Even his brother Thanasi.
The accent. I mean, come on. It sounds like my Theo. If you close your eyes and he's telling his jokes, I'm like, those are my funny Theos in Greece.
Absolutely. Any interaction with the Adetokounmpo boys?
A little bit with Thanasi. He came to the Downey Greek Festival last year.
How did that happen?
Just by chance. He saw one of the ads my company was running. And he was in West LA getting some therapy on he was injured at the time. And he came out to LA to do therapy for a week and he got an ad for the Downey Greek Festival.
Come on.
And he brought the whole family and he showed up and he's walking through and everybody's like,
his mom and...
No, his wife and kids. And then I think a friend of his.
That's cool, man.
So he's walking through and we're like, hey, that's Thanasi, we got to go talk to him. So we went and approached him. He was walking around. He had a boot on his foot because he had some kind of, injury that he couldn't really walk. So we're like, take a seat. Let us bring food to you. So we brought him and his family food. We connected a few times, but he doesn't live here. So it was,
But I mean, to renew your contract with all the festivals, there you go. Look who I brought here. Are you kidding me?
That could be anybody for sure.
Okay, so back to other people you've met through your platform now that it's just creating this platform for you to meet new people, to talk to them. Like who else or who are you aspiring to meet at some point?
Good question. Neil Vardalos. So from my Big Fat Greek Wedding. Yep. I don't even know how we connected, but we just did. And I think we just crossed paths at a lot of events. And she started following my page and we just connected and kind of hit it off. And
amazing.
I think the mutual respect. See, that's the thing. The respect factor, like, is somebody trying to take advantage of me? Is somebody not? That's always a question as to when you meet new people, right? And I think there was a mutual appreciation of the work that we do that led to Nia and I just having, as casual of a relationship as it is, but at least we can talk to each other, when we need to. And she's been great. And we did some content together and we're planning to do some more content together soon. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Former guest on the show, Evangelia, the singer, Evangelia, didn't know the connection, but when she had come and my daughters met her and we were talking and your name came up and I'm like, yeah, my Cubaro, he's amazing. She goes, he's been so supportive and this and that. Like her reaction on, like, it wasn't even about trying to capitalize. It was just like someone saw this talent, support any way you can. Like that's a beautiful thing, no strings attached, like.
And that's how it happened. And it goes back to what I said about wanting and liking the product or service or whatever it is I'm going to go promote. She went to Crete in the summer of 2020, I think it was, right? Everything else is closed.
Shut down.
And she was trying to, become a singer and she went to Crete to go make a music video.
In her Yas-Khoria, her grandmother's village.
Yes. And I'm like, wow, that's passionate. It's not anybody just gets up and does that, right? So she believed in herself, number one.
Self-financed, by the way.
Absolutely. And then the song, Pame Pame, was a good song. It was a catchy song. And I'm like, wow, there's potential here, right? So I just reached out to her and I said, hey, I love your music. I love your song. It was a song at the time, so let's back up. Yeah. I love your song. Right. I thought that was cool that you shot a music video. If you ever need anything, just reach out.
Amazing.
And she never really reached out to take advantage of it. I was always pushing myself like, hey, do you want me to share that? And yeah, sure. So then just kind of grew to know each other and appreciate each other's work. And
That's huge.
Yeah.
And she's amazing. Like all her songs now, like my girls love them.
My kids love her, and she was this close to Eurovision. Like we were pulling for her, hoping.
What do you think of the girl that won? I forget her name.
Claudia.
Yeah, that's a hard name.
Claudia. Well, because people think Claudia, you know, but it's Claudia, and I think it's just phonetically spelled.
Yeah. That V needs to go away. Yeah. Sorry.
Look, she's great. She's a great singer. You know, her and Invigorate were two different types of singers, you know, so it's like everybody's got to vote one type in. And apparently, you know, Claudia was the winner, but it was a close vote. I think it was like a 2-point separation, so it wasn't that great.
In your next life, you're going to run for politics because that was the most bullshit. Switzerland on the fence, not trying to lose Claudia followers versus.
No, but see, the thing is, I still want Claudia to win Eurovision because she's representing Greece. Right. Did I like Invigorate a lot more? Sure. Yeah. That's my buddy. That's who I would have liked.
You went on record.
Died on the hill for Invigorate, for sure.
Absolutely.
100%.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then anyone else that you've talked to over the years, you know, from... Like I always see stuff come up on, I think you have like on a VC, or you talk to these different people, you know?
Well, it's funny because, you know, my cousin Dina does a lot of the concerts out here. So sometimes there's opportunities there. It's just how we can all help each other kind of leads to different places, right? Like when Argyros came out and did the show out here in LA, my cousin Dina was the one promoting and doing the concert and producing it. So I had the opportunity to go meet him and talk with him, shoot some content with him, which was pretty cool because especially at the time, which was like 2 years ago now, like he was like peak. I mean, he's still up there, but like he was like the talk of Greece for
filling out stadiums, singing with Eminem.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been another artist that's had that
reach. And he was in Miami recently, and Wyclef Jean introduced him and brought him onto stage.
Oh, I didn't know that.
This just happened 2 days ago or something like that.
Here.
Yeah.
That's it. He's got a good PR contact, whoever that is.
Exactly.
That's really cool. We're going to do something called This or That.
I just hope it doesn't get me in trouble. That's all.
It probably will. It probably will.
I'm going to have to explain myself too much.
Actually, I need to add one. Claudia versus Invigorate. That's going to be the 16th one. But there's 15 here.
Okay.
It's going to range music, food, islands, right? You got to pick one or the other. And don't just do some BS like this.
So,
give us, like, why?
No apolitical. I got to make a decision. I got to die on a hill.
Yeah, no Switzerland, no Canada here. Canada a little touchy. We'll...
all right, let's do it.
Okay, so we're going to start, okay? Moussaka or pasticcio?
Pasticcio.
Hands down.
No, that's easy.
Why?
All right. Moussaka is delicious, but eggplant, I'm not a big fan of. So it's an easy decision for me. Pasticcio, moussaka, no eggplant in pasticcio. So,
okay.
Yeah.
If you're eating takeout, where do you get pasticcio around here?
My Greek Kitchen, I think, is the only place that has it.
Yeah. Costa Mesa, shout out.
Mesa.
Really
yes, good. Yes. Okay. Well, I shouldn't say the only place that has it. The closest place to me.
Yes.
Taverna at the Mar Vista has top notch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Ana Visi or Despina Vandi?
Oh my God, you're like taking my youth and like...
I mean, two classic...
Look, Ana Visi is probably queen, but Vandi was like the epitome of my prime years in Greece. Like when Ya came out, like that was at my prime.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if I had to pick one, it's going to be Vandi just because of the timing.
What about her husband? Wasn't she married to Demis Nikolaidis? Or am I mixing up my...
I don't... Look.
Who was like big soccer player.
The soccer player, yes. I think I can't... The thing is, at that time, I confused a lot of the Greek singers, right? And anyways, to me, it's Vandi just because of the timing. I think, Ana Visi has lasted longer and probably bigger, but for me personally, just for the timing of that late 90s, early 2000s, Vandi was like...
Where you were peaking.
Colored glasses and spiky hair at the club, yes.
With the highlights, I got you. Okay, this one's going to be easy, but you got to explain. Frappe or Fredo espresso?
Fredo. Come on. Look, there's still purists on my page that anytime Fredo comes up, they're like, mono frappe or frappe. Hey, frappe was great for its time.
Window, yeah.
It had a great run. It was invented by a Greek, I believe, in Thessaloniki in the 60s. Amazing product. Growing up, it was fantastic. Have you ever tried frappe without sugar and milk?
Garbage.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah.
That's why I loved it so much, is because you put a little sugar, you put a little milk, and you can tone it down. It's instant coffee. but you can make it iced very easily. It was fantastic.
It was dessert. It was like a
It
dessert.
ended up, it was almost like cake batter, right? If you think about it, just add flour, you got a cake. But it was convenient. Like at work, I would take my little shaker, I'd make a frappe. It was always easy at FDF. You know, we'd have frappe in our room, make some frappes. Great for its time. When Freddo, espresso, and cappuccino came out, it was game changing because now you have good coffee, freshly brewed. You can pick any brand. It's not just Nescafe instant dry coffee.
Yep.
And you can pick different beans. You can make it, you know, stronger, lighter. It's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you 100%.
It's like McDonald's versus a fine dining restaurant. Like McDonald's is the fast food of frappe. It serves its purpose every once in a while. You're in a hurry, you need a frappe, you need a McDonald's, fine. But when I want to go enjoy something, what I look forward, first of all, I look forward to my Freddo every single day when I wake up.
Yeah, I need an IV here. A subset question to that. Which one made you run to the bathroom more?
Frappe.
Frappe. Yeah, there you go. So it served its purpose, man.
Yes. It was great for the time.
So it had a double...
These are easy. I thought you said they're going to be hard. I'm very...
No, these are easy. Panathinaikos or Olympiacos?
If I had to pick between those two, I would pick Olympiacos because more of my family is involved with the Olympiacos. But if I picked a soccer team, it's Astera Tripoli. Come on. All right?
Are they still... Are they D2? Or
No, they're not D2.
What are they?
They're D1.
Did they make it up there? Okay.
Of course they made it up.
They made it up there. Listen, I'm Kalamata, but Ike was my team growing up because of my uncles. But right now, I rock Olympiacos just because that looks the most Greek to me.
Yeah.
Like when I'm out there.
Yeah, of course. Well, and it's outside of Greece, I think it's the most popular team.
Yes.
Like whenever I meet somebody, like coincidentally, the other day I was talking to a soccer trainer at my kid's soccer practice. And he's like, oh, you're Greek. He's like, oh, are you an Olympiacos fan? And I'm like, how do you know Olympiacos? He's like, well, they're usually the ones in the tournaments and stuff. So
sure.
Outside of Greece, I think that's the team everybody knows now. I'm not knocking Panathinaikos.
No, but even Panathinaikos, I love it, but it looks Irish to me.
Yeah.
Right, just from a visual.
Green, yes.
It's green. It's got the three, what do we call it? The three-leaf clover. Yeah. And then Ike, to me, looks Albanian because of the double. No offense to Albanians or whatever.
Just not Greek.
It's just not Greek. So, okay, Nikos Galis or Yannis Antetokounmpo?
Look, oh, geez, this is the first one that's making me think, right?
Yeah, and choose your answer wisely, Thanasi.
Galis is like, okay, I'm going to say this answer for one reason only. It is who has made a bigger impact. And to me, that's Yannis. Okay? Galis was...
This podcast is over.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
look, man, Yannis is in the U.S. playing... He's winning championships at the highest level, right? The NBA is the highest level of basketball that you can play. Right now, you're just going to have something to say to that because if you've looked at all the MVPs lately, they're all coming from Europe.
Yes.
So let's see in 10 years if we're still making that comment. If I'm going to die on a hill, I'm just going to say Yannis because of now the impact, the exposure. Galis, though, I mean, 87 was...
Come on, man. This guy, okay, I get what you're saying. Like now, picture Galis, what he did then, no social media, no coverage in a country where it was just soccer.
Right.
Right? And what he was doing...
That's true. But here's the other thing. Believe it or not, I'm not a big basketball fan. So that also has to play into it. I didn't really start liking basketball until recently. So when Galis was doing his thing, I loved it that it was because of Greece, but I just wasn't into basketball as much as I am now. But even as much of how much I am now, I'm still not a big basketball fan.
Gotcha.
So,
and that's fair.
Yeah.
Galis at the time, though, what he did, I think he went... Did he study at Syracuse? And then he got drafted to the Trailblazers.
Something like that, and he left.
But he chose to be there. But the guy was phenomenal. They're both phenomenal. Okay, Thessaloniki or Athens?
It might shock you that I've never been to Thessaloniki.
You got to put that on your trip coming up.
Yeah, well, it's hard to go north of Athens.
It is.
Not because I don't want to. I mean, there's all sorts of places I want to go visit up north. I've just never been to Thessaloniki, so I'm going to say Athens. For now, but to be revisited at some point.
Beautiful city. I'm sure you're going to get up there. Okay, souvlaki or gyro?
Okay. We're going to go gyro. We're going to go gyro because it's a little more dynamic. There's more to do. Chicken, pork, tzatziki, yogurt. And yes, there's places that put only yogurt. And if you've never tried that, I highly suggest you get your ass on a plane to Kriti and go try gyro with yogurt. It's fantastic.
You heard it here. Sunset in Ia, Sadorini, or partying Paradise Beach in Mykonos?
Now or
20
years ago?
Right, like Married holding hands or
Right.
single on a mission? That's a tough.
That 20 years ago, Mykonos, now
Yeah.
Sadoridi.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Basically, we're lame now, is what we're
Right,
trying to say.
Basically.
Okay, we're crushing through this. Mainland Greece or the islands, just collectively, if you had to pick.
I would say mainland. Not a knock on the islands, because I actually like Chania Kriti. I married somebody from Chania. My wife is from Chania, and I love it there. It's probably one of my favorite places in Greece. But the mainland, if you're going to make me take all of the mainland or the islands, I mean, Athens is on the mainland. I love Athens. I'm one of those people that loves going to Athens. I'm not one of those guys that says, hey, I got to get into Athens and leave as quick as possible. I enjoy staying there for a while.
Absolutely. Such a great city.
So you can get all of that, right? You get big city on the mainland. You have mountains on the mainland. You have beaches too, if you want, on the mainland. So that's why I'm going to pick mainland.
Love it. I agree. Uzo or Tsipuro? Tsipuro. Okay. Tsipuro or Raki?
Tsipuro. Tsipuro, I don't mind either, though. I've actually grown into liking those. And like when I'm in Greece, that's mostly what I just drink.
Right.
Especially in Crete, because they give you the raki at the table. It's just on there.
It's water for that. Yeah.
But it's just there, so I appreciate it more now.
Side note, people know you're a Tavli expert, connoisseur, whatever.
Expert is aiming kind of low. I would say master, but yes.
Master. 3-hour lunch or midnight souvlaki run?
3-hour lunch or midnight souvlaki run? Probably the midnight souvlaki run.
Comes with good stories leading up to that.
That's the thing. Like, why? The reason why I chose that is because I'm like, okay, well, what led to that midnight souvlaki run?
Yeah.
And it's probably whatever happened that night was fantastic.
Something worth sharing. Absolutely. We got 3 more. You grew up with both your Iyan Papu, like alive? Like
No. No.
So you're not going to be able to answer. The same with me. I've never met a Papu from both sides.
Well, 3 of the 4, but
okay.
Yeah.
So let's see. Yeya's advice or Papu's stories?
Papu stories.
Okay.
Papu stories. I have a lot of stories with my Papu because in the Jorio growing up, okay, I'm from Capsia outside of Tripoli. We'd go out in Tripoli or Levidi or wherever it was, and I'd always come home super late. But it was always the time my Papu was waking up. And we would sit for 30 or 40 minutes almost every night. Well, my night, his morning, just chatting. And that's when the old stories came out, you know? So I would have to pick those moments. I mean, Yaya's advice is invaluable, but those stories, like those moments, like there were times I'd come home and he was like screaming at chickens or something, and then we'd talk, and then he'd tell me the story why he was just getting pissed off at these chickens.
Yeah.
He hated the chickens. But then that led into conversations about, 30 years ago, what things were like, and time that he did in the wars, and, all that stuff, in the army, I should say. All that stuff, would come out. And it was always at that time at like 5 a.m.
Which is known as changing of the guards for
changing of the guard.
Side note to that, so I've only had grandmothers. I've never met my Papu. But my grandmother in Kalamata now, 93 years old, like the most amazing human.
Yeah.
Widowed in her late 30s, still wears mavra to this day in her 90s. Like just such a free spirit, right? And like I remember coming home late out, and walk in the door and she'd grab me by the like she just had this great attitude, great attitude that can't replace that. 2 more. Spanakopita or tiropita?
This is an easy answer for me, but I think about it a lot because I'm a tiropita guy. So tiropita is my answer.
That's your answer.
That's my quick answer. But I'm starting to appreciate spanakopita more and more. Just for me, the tiropita, that was more around when I was younger. So that's where my memories of Greece come from.
Right.
So the tiropita, it's tiropita. But my mom made good spanakopita too. So I love them both. Like we're really
they're so
but
good.
I'm saying tiropita is my choice. Like if I had to pick one, it's always going to be tiropita.
Yeah. I mean, spanakopita can be a meal replacement for the rest of my life.
Totally.
Like it's so good, dude.
Totally.
Done right.
But to me, the perfect breakfast is a tiropita and a fredo.
And a fresh OJ, and that's called a volba. That's where...
Amita.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Last one, I already know the answer to this. Dimitris Mitropanos.
Yeah. Kazantzakis. Look, both amazing, right? But it's just, again, who did I grow up with? Who was playing when I was drunk at 3 a.m., spinning on the dance floor? It was Mitropano mostly. New songs were coming out as I was growing up. So, Sanazito Saloniki, I mean, that was 92. So I was in like 8th grade. So as La Dádica was coming out and Rosa and all those songs, like, you know, younger generations look back at those as classics, but like I was growing up with those songs. So, you know, no offense to Kazantzidis, but he was fantastic. And I have him right on my playlist with Mitropanos. But for me personally, it's Mitropano.
Hands down. You had a series where you would remove the vocals.
No, I would only play the vocals. Like I would remove the music called vocal isolation. And I would just have them sing.
Yeah, and Mitropanos, like amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Who was the worst one that you had on that you would say?
They're all good though. You know what I mean? Like, I did a lot. I did Stelio too. I did Argyros. They were all fantastic. The reason why I picked them is because they're good. But I try to find live clips so you can actually hear them live without a production.
Yes, okay.
So most of them, I would say 90% of the ones I did were live. I think the only non-live one I did was Glikiria, but that's because all her live stuff just was it wasn't a good recording.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't good enough to isolate. But yeah, I wouldn't say there was a bad one, but that's obviously because I'm choosing to only play good ones.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple more things. Yeah. You've been amazing with the time. Just going to Greece, you know, you have access to different advertisers, different people, you know, wanting to be on your page or talk and do different things offline. Like, what are some services that you've come across that started as business, but now have really become something that you really enjoy? You know what I mean? Like, you have relationships with bakeries outside of the country and stuff like that. What are some stuff that you actually enjoy in your repertoire of
actually like doing what I do?
Yeah.
I think, you know, learning about new Greek-owned businesses and Greek businesses has been fun.
Really quick, sorry.
Yeah.
You're a huge supporter, which is amazing.
Yes.
Right? Like just new businesses, stuff, cool things to check out. And it doesn't just have to be like Greek, this person, no. Like you're a big supporter, even charities coming out. Like I know I mentioned it earlier in this episode, but yeah, you're a huge supporter on that, which is incredible. You're using your platform for good.
Well, and then that's another thing I have to try and filter, right? Like when I find something I like and, you know, is it legit? Is it passionate? Is it real? Or is it just somebody trying to do a money grab, right?
Yep.
But I love learning about new businesses, Greek-owned businesses or Greek businesses. And sometimes, you know, I had another creator reach out to me once and say, hey, I did this promo with somebody and it's not doing very well. Can you comment on it, right? Well, I know the creator and I know they mean well and it wasn't performing well. You know what? I took and I shared it. You know, instead of just comment on it and liked it. And I made the statement, like, if we can't help each other and promote each other, then what's the point of all this, right?
Right.
Everybody's got their niche. And if people from within your niche can't help you, there's no point, right?
Absolutely. So, are you seeing a lot of like pages and people just ripping off your ideas? I know you have an ongoing battle, but like, are there pages that you would like to put on blast in a good way that, hey, I like what they're doing in this space or that space?
Pages that are doing things that I like in a good way. I'm going to keep my mouth shut on that one.
Okay.
And only because, like I said, even if I don't like something, I'm not going to go blast it because I'm going to let them do their thing and I don't want to add to anything negative, right? If there's something I like, I will promote it. But if there's something bad, I won't, except for the ripping off.
Yeah. Blatantly, right? Just to,
blatantly. Yeah. And it's not just for me, like every creator. So this isn't, the reason I felt like coming out and blasting Greek Gateway by name is because everybody has had that experience with him. And it's not just me. So that's why I felt comfortable with it. If there's little rivalries between other pages, I don't care.
Yeah.
But
do you know the guy from Greek Gateway?
I know who he is. I've never met him.
He is.
Yeah.
So, like, why does he do that? Like, he's almost doing it now to like...
I think it's just a lack of creativity and, like, he's a like counter, right? A follower counter.
Gotcha.
You know? Like, if you go to my profile, you're not going to see 1 million followers across 30 platforms, but you will on his, right? Like, I don't care. It's not about the followers for me. Like, it's about being genuine, promoting Greek things, making people laugh. First and foremost, making people laugh is, like, the best part of it. So, yeah. I mean, you know, I think we as a culture and a group can be doing better with our news services. Like I'm noticing a lot of our news pages are even like grabbing, right? Like just reposting viral stuff. Like, really, is that where we're at now? And it's like,
it's exhausting. Yeah.
I see the same content on like 10 different pages. And, maybe somebody comes out with a viral video and they tag me in it and then they message me like, hey, how come you didn't share it? I go, because 5 other pages did. I don't care. I want to be different. I'm not chasing likes. I'm not chasing follows. If you don't like my page, I don't care.
Yeah. But I like what you do. You're not just resharing something, like you're adding your twist, your commentary,
Sure.
an effort. You're adding an effort.
Sure.
Yeah. You got that. Anything upcoming that, any collaborations, any work that you have coming up, projects that you could share?
A lot of stuff on the back burner, but not worth sharing just yet.
Yeah,
but I will make sure to reach out to you when there is something to announce and we can talk about like the business side of it.
Yep.
No, I think, a big thing coming up is just collaborations. I'm really trying to do a lot with collaborations because I think with people, what I would say, smaller following than me and with larger following, so we can all try to help each other out. So collaborations is something I'm really pushing for in this next go around, I guess, for the remainder of this year. There's a couple of business projects on the back burner that about, a couple of them.
Very exciting. Like once you get that launched.
Yes.
I think it's going to change the game without giving away too much on just how people experience.
Sure.
Maybe just leave it at that.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
So you have that. And then people who want to collaborate with you, what's the best way to approach it? Like this is like a good opportunity to just say, hey, this, and this is what I need to know up front. Let's not waste anyone's time,
Yeah. What's the point of the collaboration? Like, what am I offering? If is it just eyeballs, then I'm not interested.
Yep.
If it's something you want to involve me with and we can make something funny together, email me. What's your idea? Hey, I have this travel page and I think it would be funny to make a couple videos about this. Well, what are your ideas? Put the ideas in the email. The less work I have to do and the easier I can come to a decision, the better it is, Don't just say, hey, let's collaborate. Okay, well, what does that mean?
What does that mean? Well, and a lot of the times that means something free. Like for me, anytime I ask for something, it's like, hey, and here's my budget, or this is what I'm thinking. Like, I feel like we're always scared in general to talk about what's the financial impact, because it's not a charity.
Let me give you a prime example, right? Like when I go to Greece and I'm going to new islands or different places, I can easily reach out to hotels and be like, hey, give me a room for free because I'll put you up, but you got to think about sometimes some of these people that own hotels are small families and this and that, and that's their mainstream of income. And if I'm going in the middle of the season, like that would be revenue that they don't make on a risk that they would have to take with my promotion. They don't know me, am I going to come through? Number one, is it going to perform well? There's so much risk.
And it's a short season too that they got to.
Sure. Yeah. So that doesn't stop me from asking, but what I do first is I book their place at their full rate.
Yep.
To show I'm coming, I'm committed, I booked you, we're locked in. Now, if you want to collaborate on something, I'm happy to do it. If not, no problem. You'll probably get a few stories out of me and this and that. If you want to do something more, let's talk.
Great approach.
Yeah.
Great approach. Because then, especially the Greek hospitality, if they say, hey, the rate is the rate, for example, but you know what? Breakfast is on us, the skidoos, sea-doos, Greeks will always go that extra step.
Absolutely. And I always end the email with like, this is not required.
Yeah.
I'm offering it because I'm going to be at your place. I have a huge platform and I know that what you're offering is something I think my followers would really appreciate.
Right.
I'm going to mention it. I'm still going to tell my followers, but do you want a couple stories out of it? Or do you want me to take some video, send it to my editor while I'm in Greece, make a nice video and post a nice video about it?
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
Do you still spearhead? Like what you have your editor on standby, basically, that does a lot of this stuff?
Not on standby, but yeah, I have a couple people I work with. Yep. And, before I go to Greece, I let her know like, hey, this is where I'm going to be. These are the amounts of videos. I still do 90% of my own content.
Yep.
The only content I get help with, like the priest videos, for example, sometimes when I do collaborations with companies, I just did one with Go Greek Yogurt. I don't know if you saw.
I saw that too.
I'll get my editor. She's also my videographer, but I'll get her involved with that project just to make it more professional and to get the shots I can't get with my own phone.
How great did that Yaourti look?
It's fantastic.
10%?
10%. And you can't find that in the market, really.
No, I mean, 5% Faye caps out, eh?
It caps out, but even that is rare. Like, it depends what market you go to and what neighborhood you're in. So 2% is easy to find. Non-fat is easy to find. But I'll never forget the first time I had Go Greek yogurt. It reminded me of the yogurt in Greece, right? Like in Greece, I'm pretty sure it's like full fat or.
It's artery clogging.
It reminded me a lot more of that than it did.
They had a few down here, Thanasi, and they closed. I remember on PCH they had a Go Greek yogurt, or was it Go? There was a brand maybe like 7-8 years ago that had a few locations and then they shut down.
I don't think it was them, because I do remember a yogurt place that was Greek. I don't know if it was them.
I think it was Go Greek, and it was different brand. But it was the same bar.
I know they're opening in Orange County. So they have some coming up in Orange County. So I don't know if it's the same company, but I don't know much about their past in terms of where they were.
It's a concept. You go in, the base is the yogurt, and you make your own bowl. Right?
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
Amazing.
So they have fresh and they have frozen.
Jeez. Anything else for the listeners? What's the best way that you want people to ask for free shit from you?
Buy me a beer when you see me and come to me with a beer and say, let's talk.
Yeah, exactly. But like your IG, TikTok.
Yeah, so Instagram, TikTok, most everywhere is at Excuse Me, Are You Greek? That's pretty much the best way. I'm most active on Instagram. I try to do more TikTok, but I'm above the average age of TikTok, so it doesn't come as easily for me.
Right.
But still a little active there. I still think there's like 50,000 followers, so it's picked up. It's grown.
And for Strategic Instinct,
yes,
LinkedIn. What's the website?
LinkedIn. You can look me up on LinkedIn. Thanasi Papoulias on LinkedIn. The website is strategic-instinct.com.
Yep.
That's for any marketing needs that you may need. Digital marketing needs. We're not in the printing business anymore. I can help you design all that stuff, but we're mostly digital based. So if you're a restaurant or
and I think it's important to note, like, you have like a one-off location restaurant or a chain that has 300 plus locations.
Both.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Not too small or big.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. You know, we can work with any budget. We work with people that want to keep a person, on staff in-house. We can just come out and do content creation. I mean, it's the full spectrum. We have clients kind of all over the place right now.
Yeah, it's incredible stuff. Appreciate you sitting down.
Yeah, of course.
In 6 months' time, we're going to sit down and talk about something else that we're brewing, not from Frappe, but something else. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, man.
You're a rock star, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for listening to this episode of Invigorate Your Business with George Stroumboulis. Please hit the subscribe and like buttons and follow me on all the main podcast streaming channels. Also, please share your comments when you can. I appreciate your help in expanding this network to a worldwide audience. Until next time, stay invigorated.